After the last election, a lot of people are scratching their heads and saying, what goes on with this politics? I mean, it seems so boring and so dull, and we aren't getting the results that we really want. Our politicians aren't being responsive, although they say they're being responsive. Dan McTeague is responsive. He was in the House of Commons for almost 19 years. Joins me right now because I want to ask you the future of politics in Canada. People are saying we need to shift things. We need to change things. Or are they going to be changed by themselves?
I don't think so. I think the parties and the system that controls the way members behave, candidates are elected, are so rigorously controlled that it's not going to permit members of Parliament and prospective candidates from coming forward and representing things that don't often get discussed in Parliament or by governments and parties.
Does the party system need to be changed?
The system should be changed. Perhaps give it a little bit more, not a candidate system or a preferential ballot, or you have a class of 30 MPs or 30 candidates on a preferred basis. I think you have to sort of give the rules that I think existed in the mid-2000s. Members of Parliament can do everything they want except vote the government down on matters of confidence. I think you're going to find a much more robust, vigorous democracy that'll actually represent people as opposed to representing the parties or one particular candidate or leader.
After the last election, you hear all the commentators saying, well, that just shows that Canadians want all the politicians to play nice and work together. And when you're in opposition, you're not really hoping the government does well, are you?
No. Look, the cut and thrust is there. There's a lot of cordiality between folks when they're not in front of the cameras. But I think there's a far more serious problem with our system of parliamentary representation. And that's that the member of Parliament can't speak out. The word Parliament derived from the parlement, to speak.
To talk, yeah.
You can't. You're muzzled. You can't put out a press release. You can't do a media interview. You can't do any more of these ideas that say, hey, great, this is not what the politics of this country is all about. You don't have the right to democracy.
So it's really then the problem of the Prime Minister's office. Because you know as well as I do, if you say something wrong, PMO is going to come down your throat and you're gone.
Yeah, it seems to be more of an institutional thing. The PM calls the shots, but there was a time and a place where I think we had the golden era, where members of Parliament truly did represent, and when they wanted to. And you could be ridiculed as well. The other thing too, in the caucuses, why is the Prime Minister's staff sitting there taking notes on who's saying nice things or bad things? Nice. You know, in our time in caucus, you used to rip whoever you had to rip, and it was a bad policy, you went after them. It usually didn't get leaked. Sometimes it did. But you know what? You had a pretty good idea that the big tent representation of the country was right there in that caucus.
Do you think that more people should know about what goes on in the innards of Parliament so they can ask about it?
Questions never asked, but it should be, because you spent a lot of time voting yesterday. Some of us spent 2-3 hours in line. It seems to me that if you're going to invest that kind of time, you want to know what you're investing in.
Dan McTeague, you know what you're talking about. Thanks very much for revealing it.
Good to be here.
3 minutes. With Justin in his third term, now more than ever, you're going to need independent news. How else are we going to find out how many hundreds of millions of dollars he's giving to the former Liberal MPs? Stick with us. Please subscribe and PayPal. Keep us on the air.